Welcome to Edison Open House Global Healthcare 2022. In this session, we want to introduce you to Aditxt. It's a US biotech developing a novel technology to prevent, treat, and monitor immune-related disease. And with me is its co-founder and CEO, Amro Albana. Amro, hello.
Hi, Vivian. How are you?
Great, thank you. So tell me about your strategy, because it's a really fascinating area that you're involved in, because you're looking at upregulating and downregulating the immune system. Tell us more.
Yes, so we're now specifically talking about immune modulation. And immune modulation is basically the concept of upregulating the immune system in order to make it more ready to defend our health in general, or down-regulating the immune system to make it, not attack a specific cell or tissue that we would not want it to attack. So, for example, organ rejection. When someone receives a transplanted organ, we want to make sure that our immune system does not overreact and treats it and accepts it as self. So that's an example of down-regulating the immune system.
Now, of course, another great example of the need to down-regulate the immune system is in severe reactions to COVID. And you've been developing something called AditxtScore for COVID-19. What sort of information does it provide to clinicians and organizations that you wouldn't get from the standard kind of antigen or PCR testing?
Yeah, so this is really important right now, Vivian. It's obviously an issue that everybody around the world is living with as we speak. And, just to be clear, immune monitoring and understanding the status of our immunity is not mutually exclusive when it comes to infection status. And what we've been really sharing and what we've been messaging is we have to transition from focusing on infection status using PCR or rapid antigen test to understand if somebody is infected. But what we also need to do is understand someone's level of protection against COVID-19. And we're living this example right now. I mean, we're witnessing a lot of breakthrough cases. And we feel that we must understand our level of immunity against COVID just as much as we need to understand if someone is infected.
And that's become very clear that we can't, keep on doing a 3-month booster program. It's not going to be sustainable over the long term. How has AditxtScore been received by the marketplace? And who are some of the organizations that are using the platform now?
Right. So our business model is to work with what we call channel partners. Channel partners may be another lab that wants to offer AditxtScore as part of their services. It could be an employer that wants to offer AditxtScore for their team members to understand the level of protection and, frankly, the overall organizational AditxtScore. And it could be to a hospital, and certainly for physicians that want to have one more tool to assist them in understanding their patient's immunity status when it comes to COVID-19 right now, but also in the future, we're looking to deploy AditxtScore in many other applications.
It's really fascinating. So I know that you've got, or you're looking for, you've had FDA clearance for Aditxt clinical assay. Normally what happens, as I understand it, is that samples get sent to your labs, but what does this FDA clearance mean to your business?
Right, and actually to make sure that we're clear, Vivian, our AditxtScore Immune Monitoring Center is regulated by CLIA and CAP. These are the regulatory bodies that actually regulate clinical labs and high complexity lab such as ours. We do not have FDA clearance for these tests. The way it works is it's called lab developed test, where we receive a sample in our location, we process the sample, and we send back AditxtScores. Specifically for COVID-19, there is a new rule that all organizations that are running COVID-19 as a lab developed test will have to apply for an EUA by today, January 14th. Only for COVID-19. That's an emergency use authorization is for the, that's what it stands for.
Right. And when do you, presumably you've now completed all the studies that you needed to do that. And how important is that getting that status?
So we're currently operating. We are commercial as CLIA and CAPS certified laboratory. In addition, we are planning to file for an EUA to comply with the requirement, the recent requirement that I just shared with you. But overall, we're really looking to also explore 510K strategy for the platform and the various products we intend to deploy. We just have to make decisions depending on the product, Vivian, because we are truly running as a lab developed test. We're not a product on the shelf. That's why we're not considered a medical device. It's more of a service. It's more of a lab test. So we have to make decisions with our regulatory consultants to figure out when we need to file for a 510K or an EUA for a specific application for AditxtScore.
So your core business, let's go back to that, and it's this apoptotic DNA immunotherapy technology. I'm not going to say that more than once. Tell me about the advantages that has compared to standard of care for problems involving immune rejection, not just organ transplant, but also autoimmune disease like diabetes or psoriasis.
Or allergies, as you mentioned earlier. And I'll make it easier for you. Apoptotic DNA immunotherapy, you can use ADI, and that's the short for ADI. So immune modulation, it really goes back to immune modulation. When you think, when we take the down regulation or actually modulating down our immune system, you begin to think of the possibilities and what we can do with this technology if in fact we can show safety and efficacy. Organ rejection, autoimmune diseases, and allergies, generally speaking, they're caused by the fact that our immune system is overreacting and rejecting something. So imagine if we can get our immune system, and instead of suppressing it, actually modulating it to make it recognize a transplanted organ as self. Imagine the possibilities and imagine the lives we can save and improve if we show success. Autoimmune diseases, it is the same concept, except our immune system begins to attack our own cells and our own tissues. Multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, psoriasis, and 80 to 100 other autoimmune diseases. Imagine if we can get our immune system and remind it that those cells and tissues are actually self and not to attack them. Similar with allergies, where our immune system overreacts to an allergen or an external substance. If we can get the immune system or modulate the immune system to make it recognize certain food to be recognized as non-dangerous and non-threatening. This is what we're working on, Vivian, and that's the modulation side of our business segment. We've been advancing the technology for the last few years, and right now, pending regulatory approval, we're looking to start clinical trials. The first attempt to retrain the human immune system using ADI, if we get regulatory approval, will be late 2022 in Germany.
And that leads me on very neatly to the next question: is what are the big milestones that investors can look out for in the upcoming year? And clearly that is one of them.
Right. I really would like our shareholders to begin to look at Aditxt as a unique approach to the health of our immune system. And by unique approach, we're not only looking at the immune system, we're also looking at addressing the threats to our immune system. So when we're talking about the threats or the pathogens, such as COVID, SARS-CoV-2, we're looking at detection of threats, early detection of threats, and we're looking at somehow elimination or deactivation of that threat. That's one side of the equation. The second side of the equation is monitoring the immune system as well as modulating the immune system. So in 2022, what we're looking to do is advance the business to what we call, and what I'm calling, meaningful financials. In the last 18 months since we took the company public, which is pretty short time, I mean, we're a pretty young company, we've been laying the foundation for the vision, but also for execution. So in 2022, we want to show meaningful financials, when it comes to detection, when it comes to the deactivation side, even when it comes to the monitoring side. Of course, modulation, because of the nature of therapeutics, will take longer, but the key milestone for modulation will be to transition therapeutics from preclinical to clinical stage company in late 2022.
It's an absolutely fascinating area. It's always said that this is the golden age of immunology, and I wish you every success in your upcoming trials. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Really appreciate the opportunity, Vivian. Thank you.